difficult couple of days for the city of Charlotte. The events that we saw last night are not the Charlotte that I know and love. They are not reflective of our community, of the deep-seated traditions we have of collaboration and peace. We saw last night also a number of peaceful protests. Our protests started peacefully, and I want to emphasize that in Charlotte, we have a long tradition of working together to solve our problems, of working collaboratively, and I urge everyone to continue that tradition. I want to recognize in that spirit of collaboration that behind me stand a number of our community leaders, our state leaders, our county leaders, our city leaders. We stand united in working together to move our city forward, and I appreciate all of them being here today. Thank you very much. I ask again for calm, peaceful demonstrations from our citizens. It is important that we have a full and transparent investigation of the original incident, and we are working very hard in a collaborative way to ensure the integrity of that investigation. We have also partnered with the state of North Carolina for additional resources to care for our city and to secure the safety of our citizens. The safety and security of our community, as well as our law enforcement officers, remains our top priority. Today, our city is open for business as usual, and we let people know, come to our uptown. We are here working. Our buses are running. We are here to serve, and the city is open. We are working with our partners and putting measures in place today to also provide for the protection of our city this evening. Once again, I thank all of the community partners who have been working so hard with us to ensure this collaboration going forward. We saw some tremendous work in that area last night. I want to especially thank our religious leaders, our faith leaders, our community leaders who were out last night working so hard to keep the protests peaceful. I'm now going to turn it over to the Chief of Police, Chief Putney, to provide more details. Chief.
As luck would have it, we're having technical issues when it's my turn to talk, so please be patient. Are we ready? Can you hear me? All right. Everybody doing okay? Good.
It's okay. Go ahead, Chief.
Morning. First of all, I'm not here to defend a position. I'm here to give you some information. We have had a lot of things that transpired last night that we're still trying to piece together, and that'll make more sense once I get into the chronology of what exactly took place. Yesterday, at about 6 p.m., a group of peaceful protesters from Marshall Park moved towards the police headquarters building and began to exercise their First Amendment. This was a very peaceful demonstration. Later on, additional protesters started to join the ranks of the initial peaceful protesters, and they began to block some of the roadways as they headed towards the transit center and the epicenter. At about 8 p.m., a group started to jump on vehicles in about the 700 block of East 7th Street, and they began to damage property at the epicenter. We deployed our civil emergency unit at that point to de-escalate the situation and again restore order. At about 8:30, we had officers who responded to North College Street and East Trade Street for an assault with a deadly weapon call. One person was located with an apparent gunshot wound and he was located there in the Omni Hotel. Right now, that shooting victim's in critical condition. Due to concerns around security, the victim was evacuated by our Bearcat, our SWAT armored personnel carrier. We couldn't get medic in at the time because of the size of the crowd. The victim was then transferred to medic and was transported to CMC Maine, as I said, with life-threatening injuries. At that point, because of the size of the crowd, we deployed gas, and that would have been at about 8:43 p.m. The reason I say I'm not defending the position is the shooting that took place, there's a lot of information about who did that shooting. We're reviewing video, and we're assessing our people who were there as well, because an allegation was made that one of our officers might have been involved. As I said before, guys, we're here to seek the truth. So we're investigating that to find the truth, the absolute truth, as best the evidence can show us. As soon as we were, once we were handling that situation, a group at around 9 p.m. Began to move towards Trade Street and College Street. We responded and dispersed those protesters there, and then the transit center closed at 9:07 p.m. Operations were moved to a nearby location, so operations continued, just not out of the transit center. And then a group moved towards the interstate, 277, shut down the loop. We were able to get some resources out there to start mitigating that situation. At about 11:55, the light rail traffic was halted because of the crowd that was, again, amassing around the light rail. We gave additional orders to disperse, and protesters continued to damage property and to throw objects and assault our officers. At about 12:30 this morning, leadership, the mayor of the city of Charlotte, and leaders of the county, Board of Commissioners in particular, and our governor allowed for us to declare a state of emergency. The reason I sought that status is quite clear. I wanted to protect the property, and I wanted to protect our people. Our officers were our priority, as well as the property here in our center city in particular. The role, because I am incident commander of this operation, based on this designation, the role of the SHP, State Highway Patrol, is to help us with traffic and to help us protect the infrastructure. The role of the National Guard is to primarily help us around infrastructure. We had a lot of looting, had a lot of businesses, quite a few businesses that were damaged, and our intent is to protect those assets so that we don't suffer further damage. At about 3 a.m., the protests subsided. The damage to property subsided, and people began to disperse significantly. Overall, we had 2 officers who had eye injuries that were relatively minor, and 3 were treated for heat-related issues. We had a total of 9 civilians, according to medic, that were injured in this incident as well. We made a total of 44 arrests. Charges range from failure to disperse, to assault, to breaking and entering, basically breaking into businesses and stealing. As I said, we're going to continue to review the video footage because I do not believe we have all the criminal suspects to charge with various crimes at this point, and will not rest until we bring all people to justice. That's what happened in the past. That's how we got to right now. Now I want to give you a glimpse of what we're looking to do moving forward. We have a full complement of our civil emergency unit ready to continue working to prevent violent crime, assaultive behavior, and property crime as well. We have our officers who are assigned to foot patrol, bike patrol, the enduro, dirt bikes, as well as patrolling in our mobile CEU vans. You will see a heavy uniform presence, obviously. Our aviation unit will continue to be our eyes in the sky, and give us an aerial view that we couldn't have otherwise. We continue to use our real-time crime center to give us a technological advantage with roughly 1,000 cameras that help protect our city. As I said before, the National Guard and SHP will help us with infrastructure. They'll help provide protection for our buildings so that we can avoid further damage. This allows us, in my CMPD resources, to focus on the people who are committing crimes, who are damaging property and assaulting our people, as I said. Despite this commitment, this great commitment by state and local resources, we still need to lean on our greatest partner, our strongest asset, and that is our community. We ask that you continue to let us know when you see things that are happening that are inappropriate and where you see crimes occurring. We appreciate the fact that people are posting things that they see, because I can tell you, we use those opportunities to fully investigate all crimes and all allegations that are made relative to what goes on in a chaotic scene. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank again the community for your support, because I can tell you the vast majority are showing us a supportive situation that I think is unique to Charlotte. I also have to thank the heroes, the officers, and now the National Guard and the State Highway Patrol, who are going to be a part of how we protect our fine city moving forward. Thank you.
Good morning again. Let me start by saying, well, fancy meeting all of you here today. My name is Willie Ratchford, and I work as the Executive Director with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Community Relations Committee. In my 41 years of working for the City of Charlotte, I have never witnessed the things that we have seen in the past 48 hours. This is not Charlotte. This is not how we have operated as a city in the past. Charlotte is a community where we work toward tolerance and we work towards understanding. Charlotte is a community where we strive to leave no one behind and to make assurances that everyone, regardless of their station in life, has an equal opportunity to succeed. Charlotte is a community that together seeks the truth. I'm urging each of you, members of our community, to come together in peace. We are a peaceful people. This is our community, and I expect everyone to come together to do what is right, to do what is just, and what is based on factual information and not speculation. Let's work together to seek the truth, find the solutions, and continue to build an inclusive community where respect and peace prevail. And at this time, I think we will take some questions.
Thanks. Actually, if you'll bear with me, before we take questions, I've been asked to repeat some of my opening comments before we had the microphones working. I will do that really quickly. I just want to reiterate this has been a difficult period for our city. The events of last night are not the Charlotte that we know and love. We also, by the way, saw a number of peaceful protests in our city last night. And I want to emphasize that in Charlotte we have a long tradition of working together to solve our problems. And I urge everyone to continue that tradition. I reach out especially to thank the faith leaders and other leaders who were actually on the streets last night working very hard to provide a buffer, to de-escalate violence, to put themselves out there on behalf of our community with just an incredible love for our city, and we appreciate their efforts. I ask again for calm, peaceful demonstrations. It is important we have a full and transparent investigation of the original incident, and we are working hard collaboratively to ensure the integrity of that investigation. We have also partnered with our state for additional resources. The safety and security of our community, as well as our law enforcement officers, remains our top priority. I want to reiterate the city is open for business today. Our transit system is running. Our businesses are open. Our center city is here to welcome you. We are working with our partners and putting measures in place to provide protection for the city this evening as well. And I again appreciate everyone getting the word out and talking to folks about working collaboratively, reminding folks that the family, the Scott family's wishes have also gone out in a statement for peaceful protests, for peace and calm, and to let the investigation follow its course. Now, Chief, you step up. We will open up for a few questions.
Question here.
Sandy's going to do it.
Hang on, we're going to take them one at a time.
Sandy's going to be.
Right here.
Yep.
There's been a lot of concern about progressive blocking main highways.
She's not sure about her.
Now where innocent people in a semi and cars have been attacked. What is the advice for people that are stopped or surrounded? They've gotten through the protesters, they sit there and get their car get destroyed. What is the advice from seeing people like that?
That is exactly why we made the declaration that we did. Our issue has been we couldn't be as responsive as we needed to be, as quickly as we needed to be, because our resources were being pulled in so many directions. So what we ask you to do is, as soon as you stop, the ideal thing to do is make sure you stay in your vehicle, lock your doors, and help is coming. Our issue has been it's taken a while to get to you because the limited resources that we had were tied up. And now, because of the partnership that we have with our state agencies, SHP and National Guard, that is not as significant an issue. And that bore itself out last night. We were able to open the loop up pretty quickly, the 277 loop.
Hey, Chief,
Nick, we're going to you. Hang on. We're going. It's okay. We're going to Nick next. I'll come to you. I'll come to you, sir. Hang on, sir.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of questions. Nick, next. Okay.
I'll be right with you, sir.
Chief Putney just underscored the importance of having those additional resources from the state and helping them respond. Multiple sources have confirmed to me now that those additional resources were offered to you as early as 7 a.m. yesterday morning, and you did not accept that. It took Chief Putney until after 10 o'clock last night to request that. Why didn't you ask for those additional resources that could have helped keep the city safe sooner?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. The question was to me, correct? We were in conversation. I was in conversation with the governor early in the morning. During the day, the center city was peaceful, and during the day, we had indication of peaceful protests. We saw some peaceful protests. We are a team here in Charlotte. We are a team. I rely on my experts to give me the appropriate advice at the appropriate time for the appropriate resources that will be needed. I was in constant contact with the chief, both chief of police, fire chief, medic, all the folks who are first responders. We were in constant contact. We made the decision collaboratively when those resources were needed at the appropriate time.
Sir, we'll come to you next.
Yes, sir.
Chief, when will the city release a video of the shooting from the other night? And if you can tell me why there's been this delay. And one last question.
Could I take them one at a time so I remember them? When we're going to release it? Ultimately, as I said before, our practice has been not to release, but to allow for the party who feels they've been mistreated in any way to see that. A request has come our way to do just that, and we're going to honor that request. But there are other things that are going on, too, about, just to be quite frank with you, whether there's going to be an outside investigation. And at that point, it would halt what we're doing moving forward as far as releasing anything. So right now, what we're going to do is honor a request that has been made with the family, because it's still in my purview to do so. But beyond that, it will be much more collaborative in what I can release.
So the request came from the family not to release the video?
No, sir. I'm saying they made a request to see it, and we're looking to accommodate that request.
Okay, but my question is, if it shows what the police say the version of the shooting was, wouldn't that have possibly quelled some of the violence that has taken place over the last, and some of the confusion that's taken place over the last 2 or 3 days?
I would like to think that, but I can tell you this. As I said yesterday, there's your truth, my truth, and the truth. Some people have already made up their minds what happened. We've given multiple facts, and there'll be an update later this afternoon about more additional information we're getting. But that still doesn't change the mindset and the perspective of some who want to break the law and tear down our city. So if there is compelling information that I think helps, we'll show it. But again, I'm going to be very intentional about protecting the integrity of the investigation, and in so doing, I'm not going to release the video
But other cities where
right
there
now.
have been shootings, they've released video
Okay, sure,
Even when it showed that
So we're gonna move
police
on.
officers were in the wrong. So
sure.
I guess the question once again comes to,
Sir, he's answered your question.
Well, what I can tell you is we release it when we believe it is a compelling reason, but I'm not going to jeopardize the investigation. And right now, even though we're investigating, we probably won't be long term because a request has also been made that an objective party, the SBI, move forward in the investigation. So I'm not going to release anything that would be
Next question right here.
on somebody else to release, sir.
Next question right here.
Yes. Yes. Yes, sir. Well, I don't believe I allowed anything. I believe what happened is people were violating the law. They were in huge numbers, and it's something that we can't anticipate. But we had reevaluated and restructured our staffing model. We'd increased significantly the people that we were going to deploy, and we felt pretty comfortable we could handle what we're going to encounter. When that became an issue for us and they exceeded our capacity, we did what we had to do to make sure we got the resources, so we asked for this declaration. That was the sequence. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Question here.
Clarify about the video, that you're not going to release it, but you're going to allow another party to do it?
There's
Disseminate it to the public? How can we get a description?
Sure. There's a difference between disclosure, allowing someone to see it, and that would be the party who feels they've been aggrieved. That's what I'm going to do. But release would be to the masses, and that's what I'm not going to do.
Can we get a description from the public? Will we be able to at least get that or something?
Hang on.
Sure. What I can tell you that I saw, and I was very clear when I talked about this before, is the video does not give me absolute, definitive, visual evidence that would confirm that a person is pointing a gun. I did not see that in the videos that I've reviewed. So what I can tell you, though, is when taken in the totality of all the other evidence, it supports what we've heard in the version of the truth that we gave about the circumstances that happened that led to the death of Mr. Scott.
Adam Moran.
Again, this designation allows for that. I don't intend to use it unless it becomes an issue and we need to clear the streets sooner. It depends on what we encounter. I can't tell you a definitive time. It's just going to depend on what we see and use that to better manage and allow for public safety.
Question here.
Yeah, you seem to get mixed messages here. On the one hand, you're saying we should have full transparency. On the other hand, you're saying you're not going to release the video. How can you square those two things? Obviously, the idea of full transparency is release the video so we can all see it.
Sure. I appreciate your passion, but I never said full transparency. I said transparency, and transparency is in the eye of the beholder. I can tell you the party right now who really is my priority in honoring their request is the people who really are the victims of the shooting. So what I'm going to do is honor that request, and I'm going to tell you, if you think I say we should display a victim's worst day for public consumption, that is not the transparency I'm speaking of, sir.
Hang on. Question right here.
Sure. Okay. I can't speak to why they would do that. That was not a recommendation that came from me. I think it should be business as usual. Without a doubt. Sure. Sure. We've done that in the past, too, when we saw the need. So right now, we don't see the need to shut the city down at a specific hour. Yes, ma'am. My answer doesn't change. We don't see a need to definitively shut the city down at a specific hour because we can't anticipate. What we do know is we have the resources now to protect infrastructure and to be a lot more proactive in arresting people who commit criminal offenses.
Okay, question here.
Question for the mayor. Mayor, you say this doesn't represent the Charlotte. We know that the city is open for business. But some people think you're missing the point that it was an incredibly violent night on the street of Uptown. And here you are welcoming business to come to the city when shouldn't you be standing in front of the podium talking more about security and business?
We are talking about both. And I think, as our chief has stated, that it is a fluid situation, and absolutely there are certain times of the day, absolutely it is safe. People are walking on the street. People are conducting business as normal, as usual. We are monitoring the situation. We have eyes on the ground. We have great feedback. And I think you've heard from our chief the resources that will be deployed, the change in strategy, and the continued collaboration with the community, that we are determined the safety of our citizens is our highest priority. And we can look at experience. We can't predict what will happen. There are many conversations going on in our community. There are many efforts, and again, I applaud our community leaders. There are many efforts to reach out to some of the folks who are angry, to get them to stand down. Even today, while we're speaking, I know of meetings that are ongoing right now where great leaders who have the trust and faith of their congregations and their communities and their neighborhoods are having tough conversations and saying violence is not the answer. We are a peaceful city. We will work together moving forward.
Brad.
I am still incident commander, so I'm still in charge, and the structure flows from there. Yes, sir.
Right here.
I'd like to get your reaction to this. We just spoke to an official who has seen the police video that says that Mr. Scott made a, quote, obvious threat towards a police officer, not only did he have a gun, but also an ankle holster, a very short clip. That's what we saw. I'd like to get your reaction to that. Also, when can we expect the video?
When can you expect it to believe? You shouldn't expect it to be released. As far as my reaction to it, I will be updating based on new facts that we have. You'll get that update later on today. I'm not ready to give that yet because there's still a lot of questions that I have and a lot of information that needs to be vetted first. Thank you, sir.
Right here.
So if you're waiting to see if we need a curfew, then exactly what's going to be different tonight? Because a lot of different organizations
Sure.
are already concerned about this weekend's events, including the Panthers home game. So what are we doing different tonight if we're still waiting to see if we need it?
The big thing we're doing different is we have several hundred additional assets to protect the structures, the businesses, and our personnel, and we're going to be a lot more proactive. We made 44 arrests last night because we're not going to tolerate the behavior, and now we have resources to better protect the infrastructure so that we can be a lot more proactive in going after the criminal behavior. Absolutely, ma'am. Several hundred more people, yes.
We're going to take two more questions. Jim?
I think you've heard our chief say very clearly we have additional resources on the ground that we are working on a new strategic response that will ensure that safety. Every situation is volatile, and we will do as much as we can to ensure that safety. We can't guarantee not knowing what incidents will happen, what groups will be gathered, but we have every confidence that we are going to put the resources in place that are required and needed. And it is my sincere hope. I reach out to the community. I ask for continued conversation. All those leaders who have reached out to me personally, you are amazing in the message that you are carrying about nonviolence. And I have faith that we will continue to progress. We have seen social media that has made those invitations. I don't have any way to evaluate how much that was a part of what went on. We're going to continue to get information on that.
Final question, Eric.
Chief and the Mayor, I'm curious how you're working or plan to work with businesses that have suffered damage, losses, and going through videos and those kinds of things. What should businesses be expecting from you?
They should be expecting us to have these conversations right now. We're aware of those businesses. They should also see that increased presence. As soon as we start seeing people misbehave, they will see an increased level of that presence, and they'll see us much more proactive to start locking criminal behavior up so that we don't experience the damages that we had last night.
Okay.
I think I answered that question as clearly as I can right now.
Thank you all very much. Thank you all very much. Thank you all very much for coming. If you all have
We're investigating all of that, sir. All of that.
come see me. Come see me.